starting now. And basically what's going to happen today is we're just going to quickly go over the different volunteer opportunities we have, the steps to get onboarded for those opportunities, and then we're going to have a really short Q&A session at the end. Can everyone see my screen? Matthew, can you let me know?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep, you're good.
Okay. I'm going to take that as a yes. So we're just going to jump right into it. These are the different volunteer opportunities that we have available right now and that we're in need of volunteers for. The first one being the apartment setup team. This is a team of folks who help us load, unload furniture, transport furniture over to our clients' homes, and then help set up household goods, put towels up, blankets, get beds ready. And we really try to make sure that the home goods, are all ready and available for folks as soon as they move in. We want to make sure that those smaller things like dish soap or paper towels are unwrapped and ready to go. So it feels less like, a new home, less like a hotel and a temporary place, and more like an actual home for our clients. We also have our airport welcome team, where we all just meet at the airport when we have new arrivals. We have welcome signs. We'll have signs in different languages as well. So we try to make sure that our welcome signs will match the language that our clients who are arriving speak. And then we also distribute water bottles to them when they get off the plane. In general, we just want people to show up having, a positive attitude. And this is just kind of our way of showing people that we're excited to have them here and that we're excited to welcome them. We also have this Restart Kit creation opportunity. And this is a really good volunteer opportunity if you want to do a donation drive, or if you're part of a larger group like a faith group. This can be a really great opportunity to create Restart Kits. And we do this in collaboration with our partners, Refugee Care Collective. They actually create kits for us all the time, and these kits are designated for each room in a household. Each kit will have household items that are necessary to furnish that room adequately. So I think like in the kitchen kit, there's going to be a trash can, trash bags, dishes, silverware, all of that good stuff. And so since Refugee Care Collective, they're like the experts in putting these kits together. So we usually like to funnel our volunteers towards them. You just collect these items, put them in a plastic bin, and then they have drop-off days that you can check out on their website. We also have our donation pickup team. This is going to be a really big need, I think, in the coming months. We need help with coordinating donations, but also with this specific team, we have our volunteers go to donors' homes, pick up furniture like couches, armchairs, tables, lamps, things like that, and then drop them off at our storage unit for us. Our transportation support team will provide transportation to our clients who need to get to doctor's appointments, community centers, the DMV, things like that. Oftentimes transportation can be a really big barrier for folks because it can take a really long time, it can be expensive, it can be difficult to navigate, especially if you're new to the US. And so this is just kind of a supplement that we try to provide to our clients. And then lastly, we have gift cards, which we're in need of. Gift cards to shops like Fred Meyer's, Target, Walmart, Safeway. And the nice thing about gift cards is that they provide some agency for our clients, and they allow our clients to choose for themselves what kind of clothes they're going to buy, what kind of food they're going to buy, and what kind of home goods they would like to have in their house. So if you're interested in donating gift cards, feel free to contact me. My email is spread all throughout this presentation. So if you don't write it down now, then it's all over the place. And so I'll have my contact information at the end of this presentation as well. We are also expecting, especially, with the next fiscal year coming up, the refugee cap is going to increase quite a bit. And obviously, with the situation in Afghanistan, we are expecting to see many refugees arriving in Oregon. And one of our needs, I think, is going to be housing. We don't have a formal nailed down process in place yet where we can have volunteers provide temporary housing. But as we're trying to figure that out, I'm just taking folks' names and contact information down if they're interested in providing housing. So if you have a tiny home or an ADO, which is an accessory dwelling unit, so just kind of like a separate little section of your home, and you're able to provide temporary housing, or folks who have an ADU or tiny home who would be interested in doing that, feel free to reach out to me, and I can record your name and contact info. We're also looking for a volunteer and donation helper. So basically someone to help me with the onboarding, with the coordinating, with the data entry. Especially in the last week and a half, we've seen such an incredible amount of community support and interest in volunteering with us. And so as we're getting folks onboarded and as we're sorting through all that paperwork, we're hoping to get an assistant or someone to help out with that data entry and that coordination. Similarly, we're looking for someone to help with housing. Like I said earlier, housing is a huge need for us. It can be really difficult to find, especially in Portland. And so if you're familiar with the Portland area, if you would like to help our case managers to find housing for our clients, housing that is safe and affordable for them, we're definitely going to be in need of that as well. With the current situation in Afghanistan, like I've talked about earlier, we're expecting and hoping to see some Afghan refugees and Afghan folks arriving in Oregon, which means that if you or anyone you know of can speak Farsi, Dari, Pashto, and would like to help us with interpretation or translation, that would be fantastic. Yeah, again, just taking names, contact information right now, and feel free to just, funnel people my way if you do know anyone who has that ability. Those are a variety of volunteer opportunities, but if there's something that we didn't touch on that you feel like you have a skill set for and that we could utilize and that would be helpful, please let us know. I've had folks reach out to me, saying that they're certified and they and their dogs are certified as to provide therapy, and those more specific skill sets we don't necessarily have a standard volunteer opportunity for, but it's always good to kind of have those things on my radar just in case something comes up that we would need that for. And then lastly, the last thing that we have on this slide is a case manager and case aide position. So these are not volunteer positions. We're looking to staff 2 case managers, I think, and 1 case aide. And so this is just kind of us trying to get the word out. If you know of anyone who would be interested in doing this, feel free to send them to our website or have them contact me or Matthew. And Matthew's email is up there, but there's also info on our Catholic Charities website. Lastly, we have our cultural navigator position, which I've gotten a bunch of inquiries for, which is fantastic. I'm actually going to queue up the video right now just to make sure that it has enough time to buffer. But this position is kind of almost like a catch-all position. We have folks who are trained, in understanding the global refugee crisis, the resettlement process, and then they go through trainings on cultural competency and communication, and we pair these folks, these cultural navigators, with our clients to provide just general support. And this role can include anything from English language learning to helping our clients to navigate the bus system, or helping our clients to figure out how to utilize grocery stores. There can be a lot of small things that, at least for me, as someone who was born and raised in the United States, I take for granted. Systems that I'm just very accustomed to that someone who is newly arrived in the US may not be comfortable with or familiar with. So those smaller systems, those everyday things, we really try to make sure that our clients have someone to ask when they have questions about those things. So we're gonna watch this really short video on what cultural navigation can be, what it can look like. I feel like this video does a much better job of describing the role than I can. And so, yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and jump into that.
Hello to everyone, and thank you for inviting me, Matthew, today.
Caitlin, and I'm a cultural navigator.
My name is Aaron. I'm a cultural navigator.
A cultural navigator assists a refugee family that's just arrived acclimate to America and introduces a bunch of the different systems in American life, like school, insurance, work, transportation, as well as a lot of cultural aspects of American life that most refugees aren't familiar with. We work with Mama Pasi and her family of 5. They are refugees from originally Congo, but they've been in a refugee camp in Rwanda for 20 years before they were resettled in America.
My name is Clotilde Dusabe. I am from Congo. Naje tariki 22 z'ukwezi kwa 9, 2016.
Frankly, a lot of what we do is just hang out together with the family. We'll watch videos on TV of Rwandan musicians. We'll share meals together, and occasionally we'll help out with things like taxes.
My name is Fiston Kamana. The first time we met Aaron and Karen, we were so surprised by seeing some white men speak our language, Kinyarwanda. It was so amazing.
We became cultural navigators because we have a friend, Hannah, who works for Catholic Charities, and she knew that we had spent time in the Peace Corps in Rwanda, and we had learned Kinyarwanda while we were there. And when she saw that a family was coming that spoke Kinyarwanda, she talked to us about the opportunity to be a cultural navigator with a family from a culture we were really familiar with.
They help us in many ways. Karen used to help my young sister for doing homework, and I used to go with Aaron to play basketball. Yeah, so everything we did, it's helped me.
We recently went back to Rwanda to visit our friends. This family has two siblings that have not been resettled in America yet. One of them is seeking resettlement. And so when we went back to Rwanda, we got to meet their sibling Pasi, and then we also got to meet their sibling Clementine. And Pasi actually took us to the refugee camp where they lived for 20 years.
Baramfashije cyane kumenya nuko kwivugira ni Katerina cyane yabanje kujya nyigisha ntarajya mu kazi. N'abantu benshi bakunda kumbaza mbese ngo bari abantu nabakuye nkababwira ngo ni Imana yabampaye.
This work is so important because when you think about it, refugees are one of the most vulnerable populations on the planet. They're ready and they want to be successful, and they've lived through so much that they have the potential. They just need the tools, and we can provide them with that, whether it's like explaining things on how to get through, apply for summer school or file their taxes or take a bus, and then to just them knowing Americans that care.
All right. So we are going to move on really quickly to next steps. I'm going to try and breeze through this section pretty quickly so we have enough time for questions at the end. Basically, next steps, please apply for these positions on our website. That's the best way that we can have everyone's contact information in one place and make sure that everyone is getting the information that they need. Across the board, we're going to need everyone to sign our volunteer handbook here, which is also on our website. If you go to our volunteer webpage, I'm going to try not to scroll too much because that gives me a headache when other people do it. But if you come to our volunteer webpage, you can see all of our opportunities down here. And then you can see our resources over here. And this resources tab is going to take you here with our volunteer handbook and then our volunteer orientation, which again, across the board, everyone's going to need to complete both of those things. As for volunteers who are going to be working directly with clients, so cultural navigators, if you're going to be working as a transportation support and you're going to be, having that one-on-one time with clients, we ask that folks go through our refugee services training. And this is where we're going to talk about the global refugee crisis, resettlement process, and then how our agency fits into those things. If you are a cultural navigator, we are also going to ask that you go through a training on cultural competency and communication, and then another one on volunteer boundaries and burnout. The next training, which is going to cover all three of these back to back, is going to be September 18th from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And you can register for this training on our volunteer page as well. Same place with all the other volunteer opportunities. Yeah, it'll say like 9/18 refugee services volunteer training. Our other requirements are background checks. If you have access to volunteer or donor information, we'll need you to go through a background check. This can cost between $30 to $60, but if that's a barrier for you, totally feel free to let me know and we can cover that fee. We also have requirements for driving, which include a driver's license, a copy of proof of insurance, transportation policy, defensive driving course, and a background/motor vehicle check. And I know this was all a bunch of information really quickly. And so if you have any questions or you don't know what requirements you're going to go through in order to start volunteering with us, please check the position descriptions online. So on that volunteer webpage, if you click on those opportunities, you'll see a description of what the role is and then also our requirements for that role. And again, if you have any questions, please just let me know, reach out to me at my email, and I can help you out. We like to end our trainings and info sessions with this quote from Dina Nayeri. She's an Iranian writer, and she was a refugee when she was a child. And it says, "It is the obligation of every person born in a safer room to open the door when someone in danger knocks." And I feel like, especially in this moment in time, especially in the context and the reality that we're living through, this is a really important quote to keep in mind. That is it for our presentation. Here is my contact information. Again, if you look at our volunteer position descriptions, my email is out there. Let me know if you have questions. And that's it for the presentation portion. We can go ahead and start our questions section. And I think the best way to do this is if you raise your hand in the Microsoft Teams, and then we can kind of facilitate from there. Greg, looks like you have a question. Go ahead.
Hey there. Yeah, I was just wondering if we need Pashto proficiency to be a cultural navigator, like the Congolese people happen to be, or is that just a
Matthew,
good
I'm
to
having
have?
some trouble with my audio. Do you think you could field questions for a bit?
Yeah, certainly. Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Westerbeck. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm the director of Refugee Services at Catholic Charities, working alongside Omi and the rest of our team. So Omi can't hear the audio. No, Greg, you don't need, as a volunteer, you absolutely do not need language skills. That was a coincidence in that video, or a great pairing. Certainly it helps, but a lot of cultural navigating, or being in that role of the cultural navigator, is working through language barriers, gesturing and cultural or language exchange, and kind of building a relationship from that perspective. It definitely can slow things down, but it's absolutely part of the experience, and there's no requirement for language skills. We would love it if there are individuals on this call, or if you have friends or acquaintances that you know are multilingual with the Farsi or Pashto or Dari, and you could direct them to us. We would love to build some relationships with more interpreters and community members that have those language skills. Can I see everybody whose questions are?
I don't know if you guys can hear me. Hello, Matthew.
Okay, I can hear now.
How are you?
Good. Yeah, we can hear you.
I don't know if you guys can see me as well. Hi, my name is Fazila, and thank you everyone for joining this meeting and allowing me to be part of this meeting. I'm from Afghanistan, and I came here in Portland 20 years ago. I had similar situation when I escaped Afghanistan, like during the Taliban. So today I'm fortunate enough to offer my assistance to these refugees, and I have done this with Iraqi and Syrian refugee in the past. While I was working with PCC in Portland State, and I have some time to offer my assistance to these people, and of course the Portland people, because it's not all the time that we need to support Afghan refugee. It's time for us to help people in the community, because they're going to be joining us for the rest of our lives. So it's easier for them to be navigating things when they need it. And also one thing I want to mention, that when somebody comes from Afghanistan, since both languages are the main languages, they usually speak both languages. So even if they speak Farsi, if someone comes with the background of Farsi language, they are able to understand. And I have some friends who are willing to help with the translation. And I have some people that are able to get those two jobs that you guys just announced it, as a case manager or something that helps these new refugees. So I'm here, and if you guys have any question regarding cultural understanding and what's happening in Afghanistan, what are the needs of new refugee when they come as a new refugees, what are emotional and support we can offer for their kids and family, I'm able to help too, because I'm involved with other community members too. So and I'm glad to join it. And thank you, Matthew, for inviting me for this meeting. And nice to meet you all. And thank you, and appreciating supporting one another.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's see. There's a couple other hands up. Let's see. Valley. Brunken. Valley Brunken.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I have two questions, real quick. One is, initially, what are your greatest needs? I think, is it Omi? You said you needed some help in the office coordinating. And then, and what I'm seeing, maybe the case managers, but if we aren't looking for employment, maybe what are your greatest needs? And then the second thing is, if we don't speak Farsi, because right now German's not going to help me. So do you ever use like the Google Translator app or anything, so we can have conversations with them, and they can, like on my phone, there's a Google Translator app, and I can communicate with them that way, or what are the other alternatives?
I can speak to our greatest needs, at least in terms of volunteers right now. I think we're going to need a lot of help with apartment setups, with donation pickups. I know on my side, I need some help with volunteer and donation coordination. Even, you know, the folks who are in this call, it's so awesome to see everyone. And that also is going to be like triple the amount of papers that I'm going to be going through in the next couple of weeks. So having some help with that would be fantastic. Cultural navigators, of course, we're always going to need. Yeah, Matthew, do you have anything to add?
I was going to say the same. I really want to elevate the need that we have for Omi to have some support in her role as our volunteer and donation coordinator. This is great turnout. I'm sure there are equal number of people that wanted to be on this and couldn't, or something came up last minute. And we are receiving probably 30 to 50 calls a day and emails. And just want to emphasize, we would love it if anybody's really interested in partnering with us in a volunteer capacity and supporting Omi in all of the coordination that she's going to be doing. We'd love to connect with you and get you through the process, paperwork, and all those steps. That would be wonderful. Does that answer both of your questions, Val?
It does, and I can talk to Omi later, but I've worked at a lot of different levels, and I'm certainly able to do that if I don't want to step on anybody else's toes. But I also wanted to know, how many hours are you looking for a week, Omi?
That is hard to say. I think I would be really open to having a conversation about, you know, whoever's capacity is interested in helping out. I don't want to, you know, ask people to do too much because I know everyone they have their own things to be working through right now. I think at least, I want to say like 8 hours just as like a baseline, but yeah, that's definitely something that we can talk more about.
And is that particular position or any of these positions where we're learning and preparing, like preparing for case management or preparing for the navigator role or whatever, can some of that work be done remote from home, or do we come into the office?
It depends. I think we're trying to support remote work as much as possible. So all the like onboarding, everything to get you ready to be a volunteer, that is all going to be online. Paperwork, trainings, all of that. I think once we have people fully onboarded, that's a conversation that I want to have more one-on-one, just to figure out what people's comfort level is and see how we can make something work. So I feel like I don't want to give like I feel bad because I'm giving like a generic answer, but I feel like that's something that I would want to talk more about with you, just because everyone's situation can be a little bit different.
Thank you.
Can I say something? I have social media, and I can offer. I'm connected with. I have a page, PDX to Kabul, says all Afghan food, and I could write to all my friends who I know, and we are connected, and through that to help with donation and look for ways how to basically deliver, or you guys could pick up from their houses, like make packages, make sure it's basically things that to be useful, and also we have a group of people who are doing GoFundMe, and if there any type of money or something that they can offer you guys through that, you guys can buy hygienes and shampoos and soap and things that we need, and or they can pay you guys do it through the organization, which is a trusted place. So I would love to let them know, that way they get connected with you and let you guys know as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, please send me an email with all of that. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll try to contact Matthew, which I has connection. Here today.
Zila, can you send those emails to Omi, because she's going to be coordinating all of this with all of the volunteers and all of the people who are supporting the effort.
Yeah, definitely, and the people who are in those positions too. So I will forward to.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Tom, I saw that your hand went up a little while ago. Yeah, do you want to go next?
Sure. And yeah, I got an email back from Matt. Thanks for that. So we're the Portland Peace Corps Association, and as Matt well knows, we've been working with Catholic Charities for several years now on mentoring. So we would like to participate as cultural navigators as a team and work with dedicated to an Afghan family. So I will follow Matt's direction on that email and get everybody on the team signed up for background checks and training so that we're all on board with that. And I assume you want us to all redo that even if we've done that before. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, the background checks,
Yeah.
they expire after 2 years. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So most of us probably need those again. So yeah, I'll get everybody up to speed, and then Ami, I emailed you as well. So we'll be in touch, and we'll be ready whenever you're ready to assign us a family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. I know it's a lot of duplication of work you've done in the past with the background check, but thank you for tackling that.
That's fine. I just needed to know the process. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Great to see you.
Let's see,
well.
Catherine Sutton.
So Omi, just a quick question. Just a quick question about timing. When do you expect the refugees will arrive in the Portland area? And do you have any idea the number that we expect in whatever time sequence there is?
Matthew, do you maybe want to?
Sure. Yeah. So there's a lot of details here, and I don't want to get too in the weeds and make it confusing.
Sure.
I think everybody probably on this call is familiar with the Afghan SIVs, Special Immigrant Visa Holders. Those are the interpreters.
Yes.
Okay. That immigration category and the people that hold those visas, they're continuing to be evacuated and brought into the United States and being served at refugee resettlement programs across the country.
Okay.
That's been ongoing for years. It's happening right now, and there's obviously this dedicated effort to evacuate as many people as possible. There's also an evacuation of Afghan citizens who are essentially are refugees, but they're not going to be processed in the same type of systems. They are going to be served by refugee resettlement agencies. Some of those individuals are already in the country. They're starting their paperwork process in the country as opposed to doing it overseas, like refugee processing normally happens. We expect we could start seeing individuals in that particular channel and that service system that we're going to be providing to them, starting late next week, and arriving probably over the course of a handful of months. I don't think it'll be much longer than 2 months. And the total number, I don't know. So, there's 3 refugee resettlement agencies in Portland: Catholic Charities of Oregon, Lutheran Community Services Northwest, and Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon. Between the 3 of us, or combined with the 3 of us, I would imagine it'll be a couple of hundred, if not more. It depends on if there's family connections here or other connections to people here and other factors.
Right. Okay.
But I do expect it'll be a couple of hundred by the end of December, if not by the end of October. It's somewhere in there.
Okay. So a time is of the essence.
Yeah, in terms of getting ready as a volunteer, getting the process started is also definitely a timely thing right now.
Right.
For sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
And all of you, thank you. All the other supports that we're trying to marshal and galvanize. Yeah, we're moving fast.
Good. Thank you.
Let's see, Megan Westby, do you want to go next?
Yes, thank you. I would like to support, but I work full time. Are there roles, and I imagine this is true for others, are there support roles that is okay in the off hours of 9 to 5? Are there ways to support?
Yes, definitely. I think immediately my head goes to donation pickups. We have folks who will help out on the weekends or outside of 9 to 5. That's definitely something that we can organize and coordinate and plug you into. And again, that's going to be a really big need. So that's a good position if you have friends who want to help out, or partner or family members, because we don't want like one person loading a couch by themselves. But if you're able to like recruit 1 or 2 people to do that with you, that can happen on the weekends or, past 5 o'clock.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
I think it's good that we all can leave our email addresses, that in case if you are getting coordinated with the donation part, that if someone has a truck or big car or something, that we can combine our stuff and that could deliver to you guys.
Yes, if you have a truck or are able to drive our box truck or would like to get trained in driving our box truck, it's like a Penske big yellow thing. Please let me know. That would be a huge help. So yes, definitely send me an email or drop your email addresses in the chat here. Let's see, Brian Wassam, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Thank you for the information. I was wondering if there's an age requirement to volunteer. I've got a 15-year-old daughter that would be interested in helping my wife and I if we sign up as well.
Yeah, that's an awesome question. It depends on the volunteer opportunity. I think our minimum age to volunteer is 14, but we would also definitely need a minor release form signed for that. Sure. In general, though, we ask that folks are 18 and over, but that's something I would want to double check our volunteer handbook on and make sure that I'm, putting out the correct policy with that. So yeah, if you send me an email, let me know. I'll double check that, and then we can talk more.
Okay, sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah, and Brian, this is Matthew. If she was partnering or volunteering with you at the same time, as long as you are with her, that would be fine.
Yeah, we would probably do it as a family, or have her with adults. So yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Let's see. I saw someone in the chat. Will we be offering any mental health services to refugees? Matthew, do you want to speak to that a little bit?
Definitely. We have an intercultural counseling center at Catholic Charities of Oregon that has some capacity, and then we'll be making referrals. Absolutely, mental health needs, in addition to physical health needs, are one of the key ways that we can serve as a bridge to those service providers. We do have an intensive case management program inside of our refugee team that can address some level of mental health needs. We don't have a clinician on our team. None of our case managers or other staff are clinicians. So it'll be through a referral process, and definitely that will be something we'll be screening for. Does that answer your? Are you like maybe got more questions coming, Marie? I see a type in maybe. Okay. Are you looking for work? I can connect you with our clinical counselor, and we can connect you. Mental health needs, as most people on this call probably are familiar, the need for mental health services in Portland is extremely high, and in the level of support systems and staffing programs does not meet the need, unfortunately, at all. This has been something that's been discussed within a lot of the service providers as we are preparing to welcome and support these families, for sure. Thank you, Marie.
I think Sierra has had their hand up for a little bit too. Sierra, do you want to go next?
Hi, I just had a quick question about the translation services part. I have a background in Pashto. I was in the military, but I'll be honest, it's been a couple of years since I've had to speak it, and I'm brushing up now. But what, I guess, are the requirements or the role essentially of a translator interpreter? Am I working directly with the client, or am I translating papers, or what? How can I help?
You want to go first? Yeah, in a volunteer capacity, Sierra, if you felt comfortable interpreting, we would love to find when you would be available to do so. Airport arrivals is one of the easily identifiable ones. if it was in the capacity of working with us really closely over a period of time and being in intake meetings and service meetings, we would probably work with you more closely on making sure you feel comfortable with that, signing some confidentiality and HIPAA paperwork, and then discussing our contracting rate for interpretation. So the volunteering piece of that is certainly something we'd love to talk with you more. If you were looking to do something more in more depth or more regular basis, we can also have that conversation, and we'd love to talk with you about that. Document translation is not so much of a need. Most of those documents are translated already, or we'll be working with some of the interpretation and language services businesses in the city to do that. Does that help answer your question? There's as a volunteer, there's no expectation that you would have a certain level of fluency.
Okay.
And like I said, so it's different if we were asking you if you wanted to be an interpreter in meetings and working alongside of our case managers when they're providing services. That would be different. And if you wanted to talk about that, let's do that too.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. I saw Anne Francis, you had your hand up. Was your question also answered by somebody else, or was it covered already, Anne? I think you're on mute. There you go.
Yes. I didn't know you had my middle name. I helped with the refugees back in 2016, and there was a couple of things I noticed that were really helpful. One is teaching about the money, and two is teaching about forms. Nobody does forms like Americans do, and it's overwhelming. And over and over again, I still get contact from my refugee family saying, "What's this?" So although I'm pretty much stuck at home, I'm really good now at teaching about forms. Is that value?
I would say absolutely. Is in that role as a cultural navigator, if you were able to volunteer in that capacity, if you wanted to, the family that you'd be paired up with would absolutely benefit from your guidance on that. I agree. My start with refugee resettlement was as a volunteer about 8 years ago, and I had the same experience. Just absolutely, I could not believe the amount of paperwork that people were expected to understand, read, sign, and go through on a regular basis with their case manager. It is a lot. But we'd love it if you would want it to be a cultural navigator and do that role again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I just saw. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Years, I'm still hating paperwork. But it's just how it is. We need to follow some guidelines.
I saw Cassie has their hand up. Do you want to go next, Cassie?
Sure. Thank you so much. I am just wondering, so I am a licensed teacher in Oregon. I'm not teaching right now. I'm at home with my son. And reading specialist. I'm wondering, like the number of children that you're thinking will be coming, and would like a good position for me be more of like a cultural navigator and helping families access the education system, which is frustrating, and getting, there's going to be probably a lot of meetings for kids in the school system when they enroll, and the services that they'll need for second languages and things like that. And so I'm wondering if that's what a cultural navigator does, or if that's more of like a case manager responsibility.
Yeah, I think that could definitely be looped into cultural navigation work. We also have a program called ORCAs, which is specifically for kids, where we help them get registered in schools, and one of our case managers is in charge of that. So my mind actually initially goes to maybe connecting you with him and seeing if he has any needs or if he has any ideas of how to plug you into that work. Because yeah, I feel like that would be a really valuable skill set to incorporate.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Can you go like a couple hours without saying that?
Let's see. I think a couple people still have hands up. Valley, Catherine, and Cassie.
There's a period where I went for a few months without saying it.
If you all still have questions, let me know, or if you had your questions answered already, yeah, you can take your hands down. Are there any in the chat that we missed?
Yeah, I was just looking back at that too. There was a question about COVID. What we are expecting at this point. So the non-SIVs are going to be arriving and have been arriving for the past 5 days in the United States, right? And they're going to military bases for their processing. We're expecting to get confirmation on this, that they're receiving the vaccine at these bases if they haven't already. We don't have a requirement at the moment that volunteers be vaccinated. I have heard of other organizations locally that are doing that, just to put that on the radar. I can't tell you if that's something that we do require, but I do want to put it out there that it's not decided one way or the other at the moment. So that could go one way or the other. And absolutely, we're going to be following all of the guidelines here in the state of Oregon that we need to follow around wearing masks and social distancing. If there's further steps that are required that the governor institutes, we'll be following those. At the moment, our emphasis is on everybody's safety and doing everything that we can along those lines. We have plenty of PPE if that was ever a concern or ever a need that you're seeing. That's also another thing that we can support for sure. Somebody found the link for Refugee Care Collective and put that in the chat. And is that where you want people to go, Omi, to start figuring out what Restart Kits look like? Okay, great.
Yeah, I think funneling volunteers their way is just going to be the best, because I feel like their instructions are thorough. They have their drop-off dates. But obviously, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me, because we work with them pretty often.
Somebody wants to do donation coordination on weekends and evenings, and that's awesome. Thank you, Robin and Linda. Oh, yep, okay, and we don't, so in terms of the demographics of the family, or the family makeup, I should say, and how many kids to expect, that's really unknown at this time. This is a really quickly evolving, changing program that the government is creating specifically for these non-SIV Afghans. There will be a longer term refugee response as people flee Afghanistan into neighboring countries, and the United Nations work with partnering countries on a refugee resettlement response. That will hopefully come into focus in the next handful of months, as there is an identified pathway for more people to be resettled into countries that do refugee resettlement. At the moment, what we are preparing for and what we're asking for your support in is a very specific. I've been on there's been a number of news interviews lately or news articles, and they use the word influx. I really don't like the word influx, but because I think it just has negative connotations. But we are gearing up and wanting, like I said, asking for community support and galvanizing the response here locally for a very specific sort of intense period of time where a couple hundred or more individuals will be arriving in the Portland area, some in Salem as well. That type of that pace of arrivals is something the state of Oregon has not seen, as you can imagine, since really 2016, the previous administrations and the crackdown on refugee resettlement. So there's a lot of capacity building that we're doing very, very quickly, and that's absolutely where volunteers can support tremendously as we respond as a community. Does anybody else have any other questions?
So there's no particular place or spot like we're gonna keep them in Northwest or Southeast Portland, or it's gonna be scattered and Beaverton, everywhere.
Potentially, we are working with state legislators and city council members on potentially having a governmental entity contract with one or two like extended stay motel businesses, and having that be the initial and temporary housing that is secured and stable. And then as refugee service providers, we'll work with them on longer term housing options. Those conversations are happening. I don't know if those are going to be successful, but we are really hopeful that we can secure something along those lines. We're looking at other options too. We know that the local universities don't have the full number of students on campus, and so there's dorm room capacity that is being considered. Obviously, the temporary host option that some of you have expressed interest in, and we'll follow up with you on that. I absolutely know that will be part of how we respond. There's the Airbnb capacity where they are helping to make hosts provide that as basically as a donation. So yeah, that's a long answer to your question, Fazila, but we're looking at all those options and trying to figure out how to remove the barriers to making those options real.
That's really good, because I have friends in Portland and Beaverton, Hillsborough, Tigard area. I just want to make sure that everybody who are interested, that they can coordinate with you guys and then offer their help, even if once they're done with Lutheran Family or Catholic Charities support, when they're here. And I used to do their paperwork, even though they were done after years and 2 years. I used to take them to DMV and Social Security or something, just to make sure that if they're close by, it's easier for them if they're close by their houses, that, hey, it's close to your house, could you please help this family? And that way, it's a long drive. There shouldn't be an excuse either way, but I just want to make sure that when I'm spreading the word, they need to know where their location is, or at least they need to know, where they are living for, that moment or the time they are arriving.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so it is 6:30 right now. I know we've gone over. If anyone has any more questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If I can't answer your question, I will connect you with someone who can. If you have questions about volunteering, especially, definitely let me know. If you have, a specific volunteer opportunity that you want to do, email me, apply online, please. And yeah, we can get you started with all of that. Thank you all so much for coming. This was awesome. I did not expect this many people to be here. It's just really incredible to see such a massive amount of support. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Looking forward to meeting you all in person over the course of the next couple of weeks and months, hopefully. Thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah. Matthew, maybe I will call you, or if I have your email you and contact regarding these positions that people are interested. And then
please.
Else comes, and I will keep you guys in a loop and offer anything that in my hand, or my family, or anyone I know.
Thank you so much, Fazila.
No problem. Nice to meet you guys, and good to see you guys.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Take care.
Person and you.
Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.